And if we're going to talk about betting, Super Bowl, this will be our last thing before the Super Bowl. So you taking the Chiefs or are you taking the Buccaneers?
You think I'm going against? Tell a story about. I love that story you had told about Brady, about the commercial.
Well, there was a funny commercial where it was on. I don't know if it was on TV or it was on the internet that Tom Brady's from California, right? So,
but everybody thinks he's from Boston.
But he's for the Patriots, right? So he's in a store in California. And this guy walks, he goes, "Oh, there's Tom Brady." He says, "I hate you guys from Boston." And Tom Brady goes, "Well, no, I'm really from California." "Yeah, all I hear is you guys from Boston. Park the car at Harvard Yard." And Brady goes, "Well, no, I'm..."
Remember the time, Tim, you come home? I'll never forget Tim come home and he says, I said, "Well, what'd you learn today?" He says, "Oh, we did with the Sharks." I said, "Oh, he's learning about cars and that." And it was sharks.
Yeah. Well, I learned, it's when you're young, right? Like you learned French when you were in there.
You adopt them.
You adopt the language. And then they do talk like that. They do drop their R's.
No, do they?
Yeah. So anyway, so the joke was that this guy was constantly saying, "Oh, I hate you, New England." Or Brady was getting mad saying, "I'm not from Boston. I just played for the Patriots." But he is synonymous with Boston, right?
Yeah, of course he is.
Yeah. And that's the one thing I always found too, is that if you live in Boston, you are a Red Sox fan for life, and you're a Patriot fan for life,
and you're from Boston,
and you're from Boston, and you're Bruins fans for life.
Yeah, the guy said to me one time, I was in the airport. He says, "Yeah, I love Boston." And I'm going on how much he loves Boston, and and I go, "Oh, when did you leave Boston?" 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And once you're from Boston, you're always from Boston.
Yeah. So you're taking.
I'm taking Brady. I mean, I would never bet a guy from Boston.
From Boston. Well, he's an underdog. He's 3.5-point underdog.
What a thing! Can you imagine? Think about that. He leaves New England, which was the powerhouse, and he goes to Tampa, and they hadn't made the playoffs the year before.
So what you're saying is, a player, when they have something to prove, it really is a good motivator. Would you say that?
Conk.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was always the thing. Was it Belichick the coach, or was it Tom Brady?
Yeah.
And Patriots didn't make the playoffs, and Brady went to the Super Bowl. But I think the one funny thing was they were talking about Mahomes. So it's like the old guard versus the new guard. This guy, Mahomes, probably the best quarterback. And Brady,
that shovel pass,
he's unbelievable. So I was watching. I forget who was in the States. And the guy says, "Is Mahomes, as good as Tom Brady?" So the guy goes, "You can't tell now because this is his only Super Bowl. So this is Tom Brady's 10th Super Bowl." So he said, "If Mahomes in the Super Bowl in 2032, then I'll say he's as good as Tom Brady." So.
Well, it should be a good Super Bowl, and
everybody loves to hate him, though, right? He's easy to hate, Tom Brady.
I love his wife when he didn't win that time, and he was throwing and they were dropping the ball, and he says, "What do you want him to do?" And I thought she was pretty good. "What do you want him to do? Throw it and catch it too at the same time?"
Yeah.
That you got a wife that sticks with him.
Well, I think of Tom Brady. I think of the story of you explained it to me about that when the football wasn't inflated enough, that whole thing, and he took the hit. And you said, he took the hit for the underinflated ball, right?
Yeah, the guy.
But it was really probably just a young kid that did it.
They thought they were helping Tom, but what was it? They didn't put enough.
Yeah, they said the balls. Well, I forget who they were playing. Were complaining that the balls were under deflated, like they weren't as inflated as they should be, and they supposedly helped Brady and stuff like that. And the rumor kind of going around was that it was back then. They don't do it now, but back then, the New England, it was at home, so the Patriots had these ball boys, basically, that were in charge of it.
Right.
And so the rumor was that these guys kind of did it without talking, just kind of did it on their own, and Brady took the hit for it. Yeah. And he just,
he fluffed it off.
And,
but he took a lot of
he took a lot of abuse, and they called him a cheater and all that. And
didn't know anything about it.
And I think that he just, and remember they took his phone. They wanted his phone, and it was like And
he could have easily have blamed it on somebody else.
Well, he could have blamed it on the kids.
Yeah.
And he didn't. So I mean, that's the main thing I remember about Brady is that he didn't take the easy way out.
I hope he wins.
For sure.
It's mentioned the only guy I feel sorry for is the owner of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because he gets Tom Brady, gets the guys, builds the team, bids for the Super Bowl, gets the Super Bowl, is in Tampa. It's
First
the
time.
time ever that a city that's hosting a Super Bowl is actually the team is playing in the Super Bowl, and the pandemic hits, and he's not going to have that many fans.
I never thought of that, Tim.
But,
Imagine no fans there. Same as Buffalo. Buffalo, greatest year they've ever had in a long time, and they have no fans.
Yeah. Well, Dad, I just want to mention our sponsors. Spreads.ca is a First Nation-owned online casino and sportsbook tailored to Canadians, so it's Canadian money, which is good. You sign up now and enter promo GRAPES, and they'll match your deposit for $500, and you get some spins on a big wheel, and you can win
Pretty
some
good.
spin dough, yeah. And that's Spreads.ca.